Alright guys, so as all you probably know, yesterday there was an interview with Andrew Tate and the Romanian media, and it looks like the interview that happened yesterday was not the full thing, and there's actually a part 2 which I'm gonna show in this video, so be sure to check it out if you haven't already. But yeah guys, leave a like on the video and subscribe with notifications so you don't miss the latest updates. This is the second part of the interview, which honestly was insanely interesting.
Tell me a man who's never had any difficulty in his life. Nothing bad's ever happened. The last time I cried was when my father died, which I think was 10 years ago almost, a while ago. But difficult things are supposed to happen to me. There are things I would do differently. I believe the world now understands I've done nothing wrong, and it'll just be another chapter in the long book of Andrew Tate.
On your name? Those that are on
Let me see if you have a
DCOT
badge. Yeah, DCOT have taken some of my cars, so not all of them are under my name. This is another thing that's been interesting for me because this is my first experience with the Romanian judicial system. A lot of the cars were under company names. I have a lot of friends with very rich cars, and very nice cars. So there are people in England who borrowed me a car, and they say, well, that's not even your car. You're never preventatively arrested. They can't take all of your things without a guilty plea. If they take something off you, which is not yours, they have to give it back to the person who owns it. In Romania, things are very confusing for me. But I also want to make a very important point here. And I don't want to leave, and I'm going to stay here even when this case is over. My brother has children who are Romanian.
But you've said it's a corrupted country. You've said that
I've said America's corrupt.
Could have done anything during pandemic.
Also, I've said a lot of countries are corrupt. And I do think that Romania as a whole had an image problem, and my brother and I have been fantastic for the image of Romania. We've been the #1 beacons. The Romanian Tourism Board should have hired us. And now they've done this, and I'm getting so many messages from people who are saying bad things about Romania, and that saddens me because I don't want people to think bad about this country. And the international reputation of Romania has been damaged for things like the cars. We're saying, why can't we have our things back? If you're a German businessman with a lot of money and you're watching and keeping your eye on our case, would you move to Romania? But because there's a few very over-ambitious DCOT prosecutors, you've now destroyed Romania's image to the point where for the next 10 years, nobody with money wants to move here. So what have we achieved? What has Romania achieved? So you've put 2 innocent brothers in jail, you've damaged your international reputation, you prevented people who want to invest in the country. What's been the end goal of all of this?
You are talking now a little bit like a politician.
I'm not too versed on Romanian politics, but I will say that any politician or any of the political parties which stick with conservatism and faith and God and protecting the youth from these new dangerous ideologies is a politician that I will get behind and support. I like the idea of, I guess, traditionally right-wing conservative politics. But really,
but you won't get into politics.
My goal is now to beat this, to restore my reputation, and to restore the reputation of this country.
What is actually over there that we have all this smoke? Have you had any sign of this prior to the moment they come to arrest you?
In April, when it all began, they first came in the house and they released us in 2 hours because they knew we hadn't done anything wrong. I knew that they were going to be keeping a close eye on me. I'm too big to not be watched heavily by, it doesn't matter if I move to Switzerland. I'm watched everywhere I go, and that's why it's a good thing. She hasn't been to the doctor in 3 years, and I can put together all these little pieces of paper that you're an alien. But over time, we build up this file, right, about how you look at the moon, and you haven't been to doctors as often as most people, and you listen to love songs about space, and then I can put it in front of a judge and say, I think she's an alien, we need preventative detention. And then it's up to a judge who goes, maybe. But I have put my faith in the Romanian judicial system, and I do think we'll be found innocent. But perhaps there were some other influences. I think that they were very happy for me to suffer this consequence and didn't decide to do something about it like they could have. But perhaps there were some people interested in some of my assets before all of this kicked off. Repacked my bag, I ordered pizza, and then my friends from DCOT came and took me to the DCOT Hilton. And then I've been here ever since. And, you know, perhaps, I guess, if you were to ask me as a professional what I believed they were hoping to do, they thought that they could throw me in jail with this very weak file of nothing, of TikTok. They said, let's just leave them in jail until the real case appears. So I think that's why all of it happened at all. In fact, I would say I got maybe 1,000 letters a week in jail, and 500 of them, at least 50%, maybe even more, were from women. The number of women who send me messages of support, who say that you're a traditionally masculine man, I like a man who provides for me, who protects me, my boyfriend's a better boyfriend since he met you, or he started listening to you, my son is going to the gym because of you, mothers write to me. I appreciate the support and I appreciate the flattery, but we leave it there. But women are certainly not scared of me, and I've never met a woman on the street.
You didn't answer.
I said, well, I know what you're trying to say. Women have an emotional intelligence and intellect that men don't have. Women are better with children, especially small children, than men. Men are the ones who should financially provide. I believe in everything that the world believed in 10 years ago until we all went insane. I'm a realist, and by extension, they call me a misogynist because I say a man should protect a woman. And if she calls the police, men are going to come protect her.
But is also the woman's protection for a man?
So women have a very important role to play, and I think that the unison between men and women is beautiful. If we're the same, we don't need each other, which is the most destructive thing about all of this. And so we don't need each other anymore, and there's no unison. But a truly masculine man needs a truly feminine woman. That's the beautiful thing about all of it. So, yeah, I'm labeled misogynistic for being a realist, and I would rather take that label than sell my sanity and start saying things that aren't true and believing in the garbage, the slave mind programming they want me to believe in. One of them is an online educational platform. I have a platform online that teaches people how to make money and teaches fitness and a bunch of other things. I have a private network, which I also run and operate. I have various financial instruments which operate and make me money. I have businesses in other countries. I think it ceased working 7 years ago, 7 years ago. We've had nothing to do with the video chat industry for 6 to 7 years. And Romania is full of video chat studios. I mean, they're still operating right now.
Crypto exchange is another source of money?
We have a few things going on, and I have interest in many different projects around the world, and we do okay. And I think that it's interesting because even eating meat is being attacked in the West. But in America and England, they have this massive push about how meat is bad for the world, and you shouldn't eat meat, and you should eat the bugs and eat the vegetables and take the vaccine and sit at home, and your wife's in charge. And they influence the shaping of things with a specific goal of gaining more and more control over the populace. A law must be passed by a government. A regulation, which is the same as a law, can be passed by a financial institution, for example. It's having the financial stability to, one, be free, which is the beginning, but also having a free mind. And to have a free mind, you need to be able to think outside of the box and ignore the things you're told. Mm-hmm. It's difficult to sit and argue with people who can destroy you. So to truly escape the matrix, you have to be a strong individual of financial means, which has a mind which is capable of understanding the truth of the world. Because they are giving us all a false version of reality to try and keep us subdued. Because if most people at home understood the truth about what's really happening, there would be riots tomorrow. And the people who watch the TV and they can't think for themselves, well, they can believe whatever they want.
Lots of poor people in the world in general.
It's designed to keep a huge percentage of the world poor. The wealth that exists in many of the world today, especially at the upper echelons, is extracted. They are moving numbers on a screen or moving pieces of paper, and they're becoming extremely rich. And that happens because other people are working. But this happens especially in the third world, the most. And I think that very difficult times are coming for Europe and America. It's the height of civilization. And one day it crumbles, because now in the Western world, the only way they can keep the population subdued is to make sure that we believe in a bunch of garbage. And they're trying very hard to keep forcing it down our necks. And I respect any person who gets up, works hard, does their job, thinks for themselves, protects their family, provides for their family. I respect the normal man, the hardworking normal man. I think it's one of the hardest existences on the planet because it's one of the least appreciated. I don't think most people realize that a lot of men go through life and nobody even compliments them ever, whereas a woman gets complimented 10 times a day. If you're a normal guy getting up, working hard, and you're doing that to protect and provide for your family. And I also respect, of course, there's some extremely famous, influential people like Elon Musk, who I have huge respect for opening up Twitter for free speech.
I will stop you here just for a second. So you are in the Musk team, in the game Musk Zuckerberg?
100%, because Musk has opened up Twitter for free speech. They think it's just about having an opinion, but it's not that simple. So free speech is extremely important for the freedom of humanity as a whole. I think if he's serious about fighting, then perhaps we will. I know him and we interact on Twitter sometimes. And he is very interested in this case, where we've explained the truth of what's happened to us. I think this would have happened to me in most countries.
Are you still dreaming about changing the world?
I think I've already changed the world. And I think if you change one person's life, you can change the world. And I think that if we inspire the young men of the world today, we can build a better future.
Have you lied in any moment during this interview?
When you asked me how many cars I had, lie about what? The two victims who say they're not victims, who say this is stupid, let us go. It's been a long time they've been trying to make others appear. That's what they've been trying to do with the media, trying to find them. You take any average man off the street, and put him under 16 months of investigation from 3 different federal agencies, trying to find every single conversation he's ever had, every person he's ever spoken to, every picture he's ever taken, every WhatsApp message he's ever sent, every email, everything, every bank transfer, all of it. And with me, they found basically nothing. I'm one of the cleanest people you can possibly walk past on the street. Is anyone think Andrew's bad? Call this number. Every person they spoke to, 2,000 people DCOT called, every single one of them defended me. So there are no victims, and there is no case. And there's nothing to find, and nobody knew it was going to appear, and none of it's real. It takes a lot of energy to perpetuate a lie. If I put a lie out in there in the universe, you have to put a lot of energy into that lie to keep the lie alive. And as time goes on, the truth is revealed because the moral arc of the universe bends towards truth. The longer something goes on, the more likely you are to find the truth. And the truth is coming clear to everybody at home. Why were we under house arrest for so long? And if I respect the safety of this nation, which I do, I have to respect how the courts decide to keep the place safe. Well, if I broke the law, I'm sure it would be in the case file. They were following me for a very long time. When there's a crime, there's a motive for the crime. If anybody at home with a logical brain to present to me the motive, I'm worth hundreds of millions of dollars. Well, you don't even have to be a legal professional. Why would he start doing this at 35?
If I'm going on your logic, someone has to be the beneficiary of this case.
According to DCOT themselves, I did not make one lay. I did all this crime when I was already rich, with my friends who were saying that I never hurt them. What was the goal and purpose of my crime?
There are two variants in your case. If you are not guilty, you've explained everything. If they will find you guilty, what will you do?
If they will find me guilty, then it's going to be very interesting for the world because they're going to have to justify that. They've thrown the idea of consent out the window, which doesn't even make sense. The difference between rape and sex with a partner is consent. Of course, they're saying I used the lover boy method because I was a nice man.
But did you use the lover boy method?
I don't see how they can put completely innocent men in jail. I trust the Romanian judges do the right thing. And I know I've done nothing wrong, and I trust them. So you're asking me, how could we be found guilty? It would be crazy, and it would be very scary. Now, DCOT come along and say, you have forced labor from this person by telling her she has to fix the light, but you did it in a nice way. So you used the lover boy method to charm her into fixing the light. Jail for you. And it's scary, because they can do this to anybody.
What about the accusations in UK on your name?
So in 2014, a girl I know told the police I hit her. When I was arrested here in Romania, that same girl decided to launch a civil case against me, not a criminal case, a civil case. They sent us a letter saying, I want $1 million. It's funny when you get rich, everyone wants money. The police have already said I haven't hit you. I might sue you for $1 million in future. Everybody, every person I've ever known, people I went to school with, old friends, my cousin's cousin, every 5, and it's crazy, and there's no accusations against me.
Again, I have to look into your eyes and ask you.
And the fact that these people...
Have you put anyone to hit a woman for you?
I don't need to operate in that frame, and my life is really not... All of the women I know and interact with are extremely smart, extremely respectful, extremely polite women.
Why have you chosen a former policewoman to protect you?
Well, that's another really interesting thing about this whole case. I guess you're talking about Luana, right? I only saw her twice in my life before this. She came to some parties, and I thought her name was Ellie. Our personal assistant, Georgiana, who I know very well, of course, and Ellie, I think it's one of my brother's ex-girlfriends. Tristan knows a lot of girls and a lot of men. I don't think being a low-level policewoman 5 years ago can protect you from DCOT, the #1 federal agency in the country. If you had to choose someone...
Luckier than you?
If you had to choose someone to roll the dice and get a 6, you would choose Tristan. But I like to try very hard to pay attention to everything and notice everything and put the pieces together as to why I end up in the situations I'm in. I believe that it is spawned from my monumental success.
That was the proof of being perspicacious. In the end of our discussion, do you have a message for those who are watching you?
For both me and hopefully the country of Romania. I think in the end we can turn this into a positive thing, and I hold no ill will in my heart against any of the people who have tried to destroy my life, because God is the most powerful